December 2nd, 2013 pre-council meeting to order. Krista, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Durrani,
Here.
Councilman Barber, absent. Councilman Girl,
Here.
Councilman Hug, absent. He did call, he will be here in a few minutes. Councilman McFarland,
Here.
Councilman Morris,
Here.
Councilman Odekirk,
Here.
Councilwoman Coleman, here. Councilman Turk.
Here. Jim?
Good evening. The first item I believe we have is the public hearing for the 2014 fiscal year. At this point, I believe, Mayor, it's appropriate for you to open the public hearing for public comment.
Is there anyone out there that would like to address the 2014 budget? Any comments? Is there anyone out there that wants to address the budget? Third and final, anyone out there wants to address the budget? Public comments are closed. Council? Any comments?
Just want to comment that we looked at this budget in all fairness to our new city manager. He was going to look over it and make some more suggestions at the first of the year, and I believe, I want folks to know that's why we were not discussing it any further, waiting for him to have fun with it.
All right, if adopted tomorrow night, this budget will be placed on our website for the public to review.
That's right.
Is there a motion? Place this.
A question first.
Sure.
Jim, have you started looking into consultants for the strategic plan?
Yes, I have a number of names. I've got a phone call into one. There's 3 consultants that I was going to ask for proposals and their availability in January. As soon as, find out when they're available, and before the end of the week, I'll email all of you saying what's a better date for you as far as the strategic plan. It would typically be an early Friday evening, and then during the day on Saturday, 9 to 3 or 4 o'clock, say. And then the consultant will wrap up those findings and present a document for your review and adoption.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Is there a motion to adopt this and place this?
Mr. Mayor, if I could interject, there really is no
I'm sorry,
motion
tomorrow night. That's
necessary
tomorrow
tonight.
night,
Yeah, we'll deal with it tomorrow.
I'm sorry. Next, Jim.
Well, going to the agenda here, the first ordinance here is 53613. This is a petitioner has plans to construct a residence on Ashford Place. There's lots 201 and 202 that are to be combined, and what the situation is that there's a easement going directly what is now the property line, where ComEd has a cable in there, and we've also got an existing drainage easement. And so the proposal is to vacate that easement. ComEd has agreed to relocate any of their lines there, and we've got the easements on what will be both the east and west boundaries there for drainage. And so what is necessary here, they'll reroute it. There's the Planning and Public Works Department have no objection to this easement vacation here. So Planning Commission reviewed the petition at their regular meeting of November 21st, held a public hearing on it, and followed up with the recommendation to council to vacate that easement. And what will be happening is that these 2 lots will be joined together so a single-family residence can be built on both of those lots.
Okay. Any questions? Jim?
Okay, next item is 537. and this is a petitioner requesting a variation of use to allow a B3, a general business use, and a B1, which is the neighborhood business zoning district, and a special use permit in order to allow an antique dealership or a resale shop as a part of the proposed home decor business. There's there's over 1,500 square feet of merchandise display area. There's sufficient parking on the site, and there will be no outside sales, displays, or storage allowed. The Zoning Board of Appeals held their public hearing again on November 21st and established some typical conditions for approval, for your consideration. That's that they get a permit within 180 days, and if the use is abandoned for over a year, then the special use becomes void, and that's typical in special land use requests.
Questions? Seeing none. James?
538 is a similar variation request, again allowing a B3 general business use and a B1 neighborhood business district, and the special land use permit in order to allow massage therapy as part of a proposed personal training business at 1100 Plainfield Road. This is a vacant tenant space in an existing strip center. Adequate parking is available, and typical clients are those people recovering from injuries or accidents or seeking relaxation therapy. The applicant business owner, one and the same, will be the sole therapist at this time, and the business would be allowed to operate 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Again, the recommendation from the zoning board is establishing those hours of, conditional hours of operation and similar conditions as the last one, getting the permit, and if it's vacated for over a year, it reverts back.
Do we know if she has another business like this, or is this her first one? Anybody answer that?
Is the petitioner here, Mayor?
I don't
see
know.
her. I don't see her.
Jim, do you know?
Mr. Mayor, I believe this is her one and only so far. I think she just graduated from training, so this is her first opportunity at doing this.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Well, I would like to know why she's not here.
Well, because we're gonna vote on it tomorrow night.
Okay, because sometimes they used to come
Yeah, I
to
know
vote.
they used to come, sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
I hope
Okay.
she's here. I have questions.
Jim?
Next item is a petition from AT&T Wireless Communications. They're looking to upgrade their installations, providing one rooftop cellular antenna module and 4 cell tower monopolies with antenna array at 5 different locations within the city of Joliet. A lot of the upgrades here are providing fiber optics. Each location will have generators so that if there's long-term power failures, the cell towers will continue to work without additional maintenance. And the big thing is that there's public demand for this from our schools, from JCC, and the various locations where these are proposed. They've also provided a map, I think we've got here, that you'll see some of the existing and some of the new towers, as well as the coverage location that they're trying to provide the community. This is a competitive business, and AT&T's goal is to remain competitive in Joliet and also provide a number of their existing customers with upgraded coverage.
Any question on any of these?
Yeah, I do just have a question. Jim, have you received any public feedback at all on the size of the cell towers? I don't know if we've talked to the school districts as well. I'm assuming they would be in favor of it, since it's going to expand their wireless communications. And
I believe at the public hearing, the school district did show up and speak positively
Positively of it.
on the subject, yeah.
Okay. Any other public feedback or comments?
No.
No? Okay, thank you.
Jim?
Next item, 540, is just a record-keeping type of item. Back in 2005, a recording plat of Graywall Club Darcy Farm Subdivision Unit Number 4 was never recorded. The economy turned down, and there was a change of ownership. And at this point, Kendall County is requiring reapproval by Joliet prior to allowing the new owner to record the original subdivision plat. There's nothing different from the original approval. It's same size, same number of lots. Lots are the same size, and all of the conditions that we established will be abided by from the new owner.
Questions? Hearing none. Jim?
This next item I wanted to talk about was 544, which is appropriating the additional funds for Route 59. And maybe if I can get Jim Trisna to provide a little additional backup, because what we're requesting here is approval, MFT resolution approving another almost $300,000, which is a large amount of money for a typical change of,
Change order.
usually you come back and after you finally measure the project, there's some adjustments because you had some additional feet or so forth. But this project along the way changed in scope significantly, adding a significant cost here. So maybe
Sure.
you can
No
address
problem,
some
Jim.
of those.
Yeah, the state of Illinois came forward in about 2007, 2008 timeframe and said they were ready to go forward with the Illinois 59 project. The city had been pushing the IDOT to do the improvements on 59, which was a two-lane open ditch drainage roadway for years. And actually, we didn't expect them to go as quick as they did. They came forward and decided to expedite. They put some funding aside and decided to reconstruct 59 through the Joliet area, essentially from the DuPage River by the Wedgewood Golf Course south through Joliet and through Shorewood down to 52 as a project. When they came through, our original agreement was for about $543,000 worth of work. That work was for a sidewalk and some lights, traffic signal modifications along the way, adding signals at a couple locations, the Walmart and Vermette Circle, for example. Adding right turn lanes were necessary for the area that Joliet had developed over the years prior to the road getting improved. What happened, though, since they came through and they excavated the project, we had started dealing with the city started dealing with the developer at the northeast corner of 59 and Theodore, and we were in the process of working with the developer at the northwest corner of 59 and Theodore. Both of them they haven't developed yet. Well, one has the northwest corner has an LA Fitness there. The other one has not developed yet, nor actually has come into the city yet, but will come into the city. In either case, we worked with the developers and we worked with IDOT, and we said there's going to be some additional roadway improvements needed when these properties develop. Particularly at Theodore and 59, we're going to most likely need dual left turn lanes for all four legs of the intersection. We're going to need to modify the traffic signal then from what IDOT had proposed at that intersection. We had to widen the intersection out. You had to put longer mast arms, deeper foundation for the traffic signals, additional signal heads, things of that nature, because we're adding dual left turns to set up for the future developments. We also worked with the developer in the state and said, at the north edge of both of those developments, it's basically there's an entrance there to the LA Fitness, and that's lining up with a future entrance to the development on the east side. We're going to need to have dual left turn lanes and basically turn lanes at that intersection and set that up for a future traffic signal. So the state said, we can widen that intersection. The developer on the northeast corner also is going to need a right turn lane, basically acceleration, deceleration lane from Theodore north along their property. They'd most likely have a right in, right out halfway between Theodore and that far north entrance, which is about a quarter mile north where the next signal would be. So basically, the state came back and said, all right, we'll do all this work. It makes sense to do it now. It's going to be a lot cheaper to do it now than it would be in the future after the road's been built. But the city's going to have to accommodate us at this point. So essentially, our commitment almost doubled. It didn't quite double. It's about $512,000, the additional work that IDOT did for us. They've actually done this work, of that change order, about $231,000 is coming from developer escrow money, and the other portion, about $300,000, is going to come from city MFT funds at this point in time.
Questions?
Mayor? So Jim, to simplify it for me, essentially it was cheaper to do it as a continuation of this project to prepare for the future, as opposed to trying to bid it out, who knows when, a couple of years down the road at a much higher price.
Exactly, and it's the time to do it while the road was tore up. Let's not tear the road up again, inconvenience our, all our residents, people who use that area, as well as, set up that area. It's all set up for commercial development at both those big corners. And hopefully we're going to get something substantial on both corners. I know Jim Haller's constantly work with people to come in out there.
Well, that was a smart move, because I can tell you firsthand from many of the folks that any more inconvenience on Route 59, that's a sensitive subject, so thanks, Jim.
Very
Both
sensitive,
Jims.
yes.
We all know with the economic downturn, development pretty much came to a screeching halt, and a lot of contractors were close to going out of business. But municipalities, by funding projects like these, got tremendous deals, keeping some of these people in business for when times are good. And it also prepared us and this property to be ready when the economy turns around, and then the roadway doesn't have to be fixed at that time at higher rates, and also, like you said, more congestion at a later date. I just have one other item here. I wanted to direct you to, let me see, it's item 555, which is the authorization for demolition of 2 commercial properties. One is 25 South Joliet Street, which is across the street from City Hall, but I wanted to focus on 353 East Jackson Street, which is a church that has been basically abandoned for over a year. Staff went in there, and what they found, that there were no ties going across the rafters, and so basically the roof has been pushing the walls out, and they are now tipping out and falling down. A year ago, it came to our attention because that chimney fell off, what you see there, and hit the house, the garage next door. And there's still bricks lying there as we speak. But it's an emergency situation, and I drove by it myself, and there's, from the outside, looked like some beautiful stained glass windows in the second floor and in the front way, and so, there's always a concern about historic preservation. Is there anything of value that the museum might want, or anything that could be salvaged that might be of value? And so we did check, staff checked with a architectural salvage person that we've worked with in the past, and he said, I'll give you $100 to $200 for each window and $50 for a pew if you deliver it to me. The condition that the building is in, the contractor is not going to, has the right to salvage anything, but he doesn't want to endanger his employees because it's in such bad shape. I don't know if we had a shot here, but from the second floor, you can see the wall has pulled out so far, there's like a 10-inch gap between the railing just ripped right out of the wall, and the wall's falling outward. To the north, this will potentially hit the bakery there, and so we felt that this being a real safety concern, that it was urgent to forego the preservation of anything inside. And here's a few other shots. You can see the ceiling here. And having anybody go inside to try and salvage anything was just too risky, especially since the contractor isn't willing to do it himself. This has been going on for over a year. It was just this last June that we got a court order to demolish the building. And we're kind of waiting till the end of the fiscal year to see if we had some money to do this. And staff believes the bid came in very competitively. There you can see the railing yanked right out of the wall because it's pulled right away from the wall because it's tipping out. So I'm afraid for the guy that took these pictures.
Any questions?
Because I wouldn't do it.
Well, I just want to thank Jim for that report because I received a phone call or a text this morning at 4:30 from a preservationist that was very concerned that they saw the demo people there and it hadn't been before the board and no one knew about it. And so he was very quick to respond, and Dave Mackley gave me his report about the condition of the building, just to put people's minds at ease. It's a shame that this building wasn't taken care of and that nothing could be saved from it, but it's more of a safety hazard and a liability to the city of Joliet to have anybody go in there. So I thank Jim and
And staff did try to work with the congregation early on to see if, they were interested in salvaging the building, but they just couldn't muster the funding to come up with the requirements.
How long has it been vacant?
Well, it's been over a year
Okay. Wow.
that
That's
we've
all?
known about it.
Anybody else?
One question.
Sure.
Okay. And Jim, just to be clear, the cost of the demolition, we'll see that as a lien against the property once it's finished.
Yeah, maybe Jeff can, once we have a lien on the property, what happens then?
Well, in all our demolitions, whether they're initiated by neighborhood services and come to you as a public nuisance, or this one, which came through Dave Mackley's shop, inspectional services, because it was a non-residential emergency situation, the church building. In all those cases, we have the right to, in this case, we have a court order that gives us the right to enter the property, demolish the property, use the salvage of the building in an appropriate case to help pay for demolition costs. And then whatever's left over that's unpaid, we have a judgment, a money judgment against the property owner, which is also secured by a lien, which takes priority over all other liens on the property except for property taxes. In this case, and in most cases, what we try to do, if there's any interest in acquiring the property in exchange for the demolition costs, we'll try to negotiate something with the ownership. And I think that might be the case here. We're going to have a significant expense. The congregation will have no further use of the property. If they had the money to build a new church building, they would have the money to pay for its demolition. They don't. So we ought to negotiate something with the ownership, the church, to get ownership of the property, and then try to get it back into some productive use.
Okay. Jim?
I just want to thank Dave Mackley and his department and legal for expediting this. This has been an ongoing issue for, I want to say, a little over a year. Serving on the Spanish Community Center board, we used to take our youth for walks, and it was always noted to stand on the other side of the street because of the condition of this building. And I think the pictures show the deterioration of the building, but also the public hazard that it has. One other thing we want to mention is there's also a portion that we're going to be voting on for the asbestos removal from, I believe it's the roof. Am I correct on that?
Yes, they're actually, what they're doing is what's called wet removal. The contractor will get the rooftop wet and then collapse it in. So that's another reason why he's not interested in, you can't salvage anything after all this asbestos is crashed in on the inside, and then it'll all have to go to a special disposal site.
Anybody else? Okay, thanks. Jim?
That's all I have, unless council members have a particular question about any other item.
I do have a question. Can we put these pictures on the website just for people that are upset about it?
Certainly.
They can actually see, how bad condition
Sure.
the church is in. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Citizens to be heard. Robert? Robert Ufus.
On behalf of the reasonable thinking individuals among the masses of African American citizens in the Will County area, I extend to you all our greetings of peace and friendship once again. I'm here for two reasons. Upon reflective thinking, this council should remember that twice within the past couple of years, I raised the issue concerning violations of the Fourth and the 14th Amendment rights as relates to these urine analysis tests that various individuals have been subjected to at the Will County Courthouse. Whereas on their bail bond sheets that they signed, there was no language indicating that they would be subjected to urine analysis tests. Recently, a couple of police officers got themselves involved in issue that's going to be going before probate and arrested an individual. And the individual showed me the bail bond that was revised, that was issued from the police department, now stating that individuals will be subjected to urine analysis tests. And I thought about that, and I said, well, okay, this issue was raised here that, people's rights were being violated, being that they were somewhat manipulated in taking urine analysis tests. And if they came up positive, they were being locked up, had their bail bond forfeited, and put on 410 probation. It seems rather strange that, that bail bond would get revised, the bail bond document would get revised to try to provide justification for previous violations of various people's citizenship rights under the 4th and 14th Amendment. Because you have to ask yourself the question, what's reasonable about seizing somebody if they don't want to yield their rights under the 5th Amendment to give up evidence that might incriminate them, which is what that urine analysis test was doing. So it seemed to me that as opposed to whoever came up with the idea to recommend to whoever wrote up the revision of the bail bond, that all those individuals who have been subjected to that seemingly, violation of their constitutional rights be compensated monetarily for the amount of time that they lost or haven't been discharged from employment for no show, no call, being that they were locked up because they came up positive on a urine analysis test, which wasn't part of the bail bond conditions until they revised it somehow. Also, it was cruel and unusual punishment. I think that this council should be more concerned with looking out for people's citizenship rights under the Constitution as opposed to being concerned with ideas of commerce. The reason I say that is that during our weekly neighborhood environmental scenery cleanup detail over the past couple of months, I've had 2 individuals, non-citizens, who have came to me about registering with our group in order to do community service. Well, these 2 individuals happen to be non-citizens. One was stopped for getting into a car accident, and the other one was just stopped on GP, general principles. The one that was stopped on general principles got hit with an $800 fine, all right, $800 fine, 100 hours of community services. All right, the one who got stopped for being in an accident got hit with a $300 fine and $300 fine and 100 hours worth of community service. Now, taking into consideration these are non-citizens, the state judiciary does not have any right to exercise any type of jurisdiction over them. As a matter of fact, they should be having these individuals transferred to the federal court since they're not citizens.
You got 30 seconds, Barbara.
So I find it rather ironic that, when I raise those issues here, as opposed to somebody on the council board saying, well, one, we have the U.S. Justice Department look into, this to get some idea from them whether or not any action should be taken against those individuals who have been committing these acts against the citizens' rights. So I'm asking you, Mayor Thomas Garante, to get in contact with the U.S. Justice Department at 500 West Randolph Street on the 20th floor and seek of those individuals to look into these matters to see whether or not what's taking place is legit or is it constitutional or unconstitutional, and have them to take some actions. So I'm suggesting that you recommend, or I'm recommending that you take that action.
Robert, have you gone to the state's attorney or the county about this?
I'm here at the city council.
Okay, thank
You can act in your advisory capacity and, take it to them. But the U.S. Justice Department is on the 20th floor, 500 West Madison Street in the city court building.
Thank you. Anything else?
I have a couple of things.
Sure.
First thing is, I don't know if I'm not seeing it on the iPad, but have we been sent a copy of the library's budget that we're going to be voting on tomorrow night? If not, if you could just email it to us.
Sure.
The second question I have is we all know the concealed carry passed in Illinois and is to go into effect in January. I was just curious if staff has looked at any policies or personnel procedures for our staff on what we're going to do in terms of concealed carry, and then also in terms of what we're going to do to notify the public that guns are not allowed on our government property.
As a matter of fact, Councilman, we did discuss that at our staff meeting today, and we are in the process of taking a look at the law from a human resource perspective. But the law does state that concealed carry weapons are not allowed in public buildings, and the state police have established a sticker, just as you imagined. It's a handgun with the red circle and red line through it. And those will go up at every entrance to all of our public buildings. And although the law goes into effect January 1st, that's when people can first sign up for the training classes. So it'll be a few months before people actually have a card that will allow them to carry a concealed weapon. So we do have a bit of time in terms of our internal policies.
Thank you.
Anything else? No? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Motion and seconded to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Dinner time.
Thanks, everybody.